You're listening to Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Join us as we explore how medical professionals can achieve stellar success in all areas of life. It's time to level up.
Hi, everyone. We're back at Stellar Success Podcast. I have the pleasure of having someone that is a leadership skill expert in the medical field with me today, all the way from Florida, Nicole Van Valen. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. Nicole, tell us a little bit about your journey and, where did you start? What was your journey and where are you now?
Yes. So my name, of course, is Nicole Van Valen. I am the founder and CEO of Keen Insights. And my way of starting in my career started with mental health and well-being. I went to school for marriage and family therapy, became a licensed clinician. While I was in school getting my master's, I was also dancing for the NFL. So I was a cheerleader for the Miami Dolphins at that time. And after that, I went on and I said, I'm going to be a professional. I'm going to start working with families on their mental health and well-being. And then I decided to dance for the Miami Heat as well. So that's the NBA team down here in Florida. So dance was always by my side as I was, building my professional career and helping families and children with their mental health and well-being. So as I did that, I went into working in nonprofit where I worked with foster care children and their families. I helped women that were going through domestic violence, went into training law enforcement, doctors, nurses, all of the different professionals to help them with their CEU credits. And that's where I got the love for professional speaking because I was giving those trainings live to law enforcement and everyone involved. As I did that, I then decided to open up my own private practice where I was providing therapy for all ages from 0 till in their 80s, all demographics. So I did that for a little bit. And then I went into corporate America from there, still in mental health, helping people with mental health disabilities, getting them back to work. And keeping them out of the hospital. And I have some background in training and development and working with EAP systems, all with a health insurance company. It was Aetna at the time that I was there, and then transitioned to CVS Health, where I was helping suppliers learn how to do business with a large organization. So still very much in the mental health and healthcare field throughout my entire career, and dance and cheer and those types of things were by my side to help me remain resilient while I was climbing the corporate ladder.
That's awesome. It seems like a great journey. And I'm sure you had a lot of experiences and, interesting stuff along the way. We're going to get into this a little bit in a few minutes. What I wanted to ask you is, you obviously are a successful person right now. What do you think success means to you?
Oh, that is a wonderful question because success for everyone could be different, right? Some might look at financial success. Some might look at what they're doing, spending their time. For me, at this particular point in time in my life, success means to me is having a positive impact on other people. I guess it's been something that's always been there underlying when I make a choice or a decision or anything that I need to do in my life. One of the main things I notice is that it's about making a positive impact. So right now with me, it's building my business, Keen Insights, making sure that I'm providing positive impacts to stress executives who might be on the verge of burnout, and how can they take care of themselves so then they can take care of their teams and grow their organizations.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's interesting you said that. Along the journey I had with my podcast, I had people, asking this question for many people. And a lot of them, I mean, they're two basically answers to this question. Some of them are looking into themselves and what is success means to them personally. And some of them are like reflecting their success into others' success, which is it's an interesting take. And I want to see how people are going with the answers. But that's wonderful. But what keeps you going? What's your why? Why do you do this?
I think it goes back to what you just said, because it's a twofold why. I want to constantly improve myself. I'm a lifelong learner, so that's my why. And then when I learn something, I want to share it with the world. I feel like if it's something that can help me, or I found it helps someone else, I want to share it even further. So I think that is my why. It's my why is wanting to help other people in the proper way. So I don't want to go around just giving expert advice to any and everyone, but it's for those that are seeking to understand how to deal with a change or a challenge, whether it's a change that they created themselves because they want to advance themselves, or it's something just that's thrown upon us, like being laid off from work, or unfortunately someone passing away in your family. There are all of these changes that happen, or challenges that we need to face. How can we overcome them, work through them when we're being stretched, and still have some positivity, some joy in our lives as we are gaining our resilience?
Yeah, definitely. It's an issue for a lot of people. Like they say, it's not about what others do to you. It's how you react to what others do to you that keeps you deal with the change. But change it's a big thing for a lot of people. And I'm sure in your career you found professionals in general in healthcare that are worried, I would say, about being burned out. They can't retire. They don't have the financial means. They struggle with their time. What do you think is the most important thing for a healthcare professional to deal with along their professional life?
Number one is themselves, because I've been there. I've been burnt out. I've been that workaholic. I've gone through organizational changes, all of those types of things that medical professionals go through, especially when their job and their tasked with taking care of someone else, they often neglect themselves. So the number one thing that they need to focus on is identifying that they're stressed. Some don't even realize that they're stressed until it becomes a little bit too late. And that stress turns into physical issues, and then their body just shuts down. And then they say, okay, I need to take care of myself. We want to be able to be preventative so that you are prepared for if you see any little signs or symptoms of anything, then you're like, okay, I need to tap into doing something to alleviate the stress that I'm going through. And that's why I built my model, my Ready, Set, Go model, my 3 stages along your resilience journey model, is to help medical professionals and people in general come up with a way to alleviate the stressors in their lives, but to do it in a different way, in a way that brings more joy into their life, instead of, oh my gosh, I have a change or a challenge, I have to go through this misery. How can we be our authentic selves and tap into some joy so that we can meet our goals in a way that we're not stressed and burnt out?
In other words, to see the full glass, not the empty glass.
Yes. So that's always so interesting. How do you see the glass when it's half full? And sometimes when you're really on that verge, it's very difficult to see that. However, this model, from doing all of this family therapy with all different types of people, I noticed 3 things about resilient people. And so I wanted to, and I tried it because I use it. I use it almost daily. And it's something that can kind of lift you out of that stressful state and get your mind into a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset.
Tell us a little bit about that model.
All right. So now you're getting excited. So the model first starts with one, discovering yourself. So this is where you need to start thinking about what are the things that I like to do? What are the things that bring me joy? And sometimes medical professionals have a hard time even thinking about that outside of work. So sometimes I might say, think about when you were younger. What did you really like to do? And I had one CEO, she's the CEO of a healthcare marketing company, said, you know what? I really like to draw. I love art. I haven't done that in years. My daughter, my 7-year-old, loves to do that. I'm going to take her this weekend and we're going to go take an art class together. So that was her tapping into really thinking about what she really likes to do. So that's one thing. So what is it that when you're doing it, it puts you in a completely different headspace? You're not thinking about the stresses of work. For me, it's really simple. I just love drinking hot chai, like a cup of hot chai tea. That will put me in a different headspace. Going out in the back, I have a garden with a million fruit trees. Going back there, smelling the roses, that's something that puts me into that space. Other people have said they like jogging. That's really not for me, but there are different things that people like to do. Then the second step is, okay, now that you're refreshed, you want to design your landscape. That means you're refreshed, your re-energized self goes back into your work environment or home environment, and you bring something new to the environment because you're at a different headspace. So that positivity that you have is going to start affecting those around you, whether you're a leader and that's your team. If you're a doctor and that's your staff within your private practice or what have you, they will see that energy and then it'll affect them as well. And then the relationship dynamics change. The way that you talk about things change. You have this magic where you can brainstorm on different ideas as a team. And then what happens is the third step, you deliver on your goals. So whatever individual goal you had or team goals or organizational goals, you'll be able to deliver on those because you're coming from a different mindset, which is a growth mindset, like I said before, instead of that fixed mindset. And what is so special about this model, you can use it anytime there's a change, anytime there's a challenge, and you feel like you're hitting a brick wall, you can say, you know what? I'm going to take a timeout. I'm going to go re-energize myself. And sometimes you might need to do it right when you're in a meeting. If you're in a virtual meeting or a live meeting and you're feeling that stress, you can take 3 deep breaths. No one would know what you're doing and it re-energizes you. I remember I was doing a webinar and these were for mental health professionals in the business world. And I asked them to close their eyes, take 3 deep breaths. One person was so astonished by that giving them so much energy. They said, because it was towards the end of the day, like 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time where I am, and they had to do another contract. They were exhausted. They said that they had more energy than they had all day, and they can go ahead and deliver on that next goal that they had for themselves. So this is a model that you can do anytime, wherever you are, but you have to remember to, 1, identify that you're going through a stressor, that you're feeling stress, and 2, remember to go take care of yourself and do something that will jolt you out of that fixed mindset.
Are you a busy medical professional striving to excel in life and work? Stellar Success Podcast brings you the habits and insights of top leaders in medicine and beyond. Discover strategies for balance, growth, and fulfillment in every episode. Follow us on Instagram at Stellar Success Podcast for daily inspiration. Start your journey to success today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel now. That's amazing. Those little things count, right? I mean, it seems like a very easy thing to do, but like you said, the first step should be to realize you're in a stressful situation and you have to step back a little bit. it's definitely a work in progress with all of us to deal with this. And I think breathing is one of the main avenues you can work on. It's very helpful for a lot of people. I can tell
Yes.
you, I've had a lot of people telling me that whatever breathing exercises are one of the most important things for the mind to calm. But I want to go back a little bit to your profile as a clinician and as a businesswoman now. I'm sure in your success, you had probably things that didn't go your way. And I don't know if there are failures or not, but can you tell us anything that made you step back, look at yourself, and move forward from that point?
Yeah, this is such a great question because this is what happened with me. So I'm in corporate and I have these different people that I look up to, right? And so one of the things that I would do is I would put 15 minutes on calendar with people that I really thought were interesting, whether I read their book or I saw them online, LinkedIn, or they worked at the company. So I did that within my company. I met with someone, she was the chief of marketing at the company, and I just loved her personality, what she was doing and everything. So we spoke for 15 minutes on calendar. She said to me, and this is where I was trying to still climb the corporate ladder and figure out my next move. She said, Nicole, and I only spoke to her for about 7 minutes because she had to go put out a fire. She read me completely, said, Nicole, you have so many different talents. You can do so many different things. This is why you get pulled in so many different directions. What is it that you want to do? And I said, what do I want to do? Like, what do you mean? She said, who do you want to be? Who do I want to be? What do you mean? So she started naming all the different positions of the C-suite and their names and said, who do you want to be like? And I stepped away from that conversation and I thought, that night, the next day, I go, I don't want to be like anybody. I want to be myself. Little did she know that was a catalyst for me to build Keen Insights and really think about what is it that I really enjoy doing. And I thought about it off the side of my desk. I was always volunteering to do speaking engagements. Anytime I could get on a stage, anytime I could give a webinar, a seminar, brainstorming sessions, anything where I was with a group of people impacting change, leading cross-functional teams. I enjoyed that so much. And I said, I would like to do this all the time. And I built a business around it. So now with Keen Insights, I have a professional speaking part of my leg of my business where I speak to professionals in the medical field on building their resilience through joy. And so that's what's my whole entire me as my being, which is reflected in the company, is doing that. So that was kind of the catalyst to going inside and really thinking about what is it I want to do. But it also started with someone else asking me that question. And it was a tough question for me at the time.
Yeah, isn't it this funny in life when you have conversations with interesting people and all of a sudden a light bulb goes off and you start wondering, what did I do so far not to think about this question or this aspect or this light of my personality like you did with this person, and this is when life change usually. But it's interesting for you that I'm curious how you transition from being in a corporate system to start your own business, have this courage and mindset change to do that, because it's a transformation for someone to do this. It doesn't come easy. How did you transition? Was there any? Did you have any difficulty? Did you encounter any problems of like letting go to that system and going on your own?
It's a big an adjustment. I can say that. Because even as I had the free space to create for my business after I left the corporate world, I was still kind of running on that hamster wheel. I was still getting up in the morning, doing this and doing that. And my husband's like, you're not in corporate anymore. You can kind of relax yourself a little bit. But it did fuel me to build all of these different programs for my business, like an e-learning course and writing my book and the keynote presentations. And what was so interesting, I thought, okay, I'm going to leave. I'm leaving corporate. I'm going to take some time for myself. The next day, I had people contacting me and saying, oh, I heard you no longer with the company. I want to come up with a way that we can work together. And what really helped me, because like you said, it's not easy, but what really helped me was my connections and networking. People coming out and saying, you know what, you helped me so much because I worked with CEOs that wanted to do business with larger organizations. So when they heard that I left, they said, you did so much to help me. How can I help you? And when someone asks me that, I say, okay, you ask me when I'm ready, I'm going to come back and follow up with that. So I think it was one, just being myself, being kind-hearted, and having a network of support. Also, I have support within the family as well, because there are days when things are pretty tough. Like yesterday, when I was complaining to my husband, I'm like, I'm supposed to be doing more. And I want to do more and more and more. And then I wake up this morning, I see my email, a company that told me that they didn't have any work for me for the rest of the year, asked me to do something at the last minute next week. And I was like, yes, I'm here. So you don't know what's going to happen, what's coming around the corner. It's just taking one step at a time. And for me, it's reminding myself to celebrate my wins along the way, reward myself when I get a win. Like I have to remember to reward myself today because I have this new job that was put on plate today. Me speaking with you is something I need to reward myself with today, because being here, it's meeting my goal to positively impact other people in your audience. So I think it's just being easy on ourselves. That's something I have to remind myself all of the time too, as we're working forward and building. For me, it's building a resilience movement. Everyone has a different goal that they're working towards.
That's great. And, I appreciate the fact that you mentioned networking, because I think in this transition for someone like you to go from one type of job to a completely different type of job on your own means that you not only need to change your mindset, but you need to surround yourself with the right people, because otherwise you can't succeed by yourself in anything private, right? So it's a team effort in the sense that you have people around you to support, like you said, and network and get mentorship and guidance on this. And I wanted to see, what do you think your skills or habits don't get enough credit for your success?
I think it's volunteering. Because what I've found is when there's something going on or there's a lot happening in your life, you can get stressed out so easily. But if you know what you like to do and you know what your goals and purpose and outcomes are, then you can give to others, and it kind of gets you to forget about the tough things that are going on in your life. So I volunteer. So one of the places that I volunteer is Kennedy Kids. So this is an organization. I just became the mental health initiative chair of that organization, but this is helping young teens and adults who have to prevent them dying by suicide. So this is an organization started by Robert Bailey. He was a former football player, and he's an agent now for athletes. So he founded this organization with Kennedy who died by suicide, and just being a part of that organization, it's putting me in a place where I can give back. I can utilize my mental health skills to help other children to alleviate that, and just to not have anyone else go through that, them or their children. I also volunteer as a board member for the Florida Speakers Association as well. That's great when I'm out networking and I meet someone. They said, "Oh, how did you get into speaking?" I can say, "Hey, come on along. I can have you as a guest to one of our meetings, and we can go from there." So I'm always trying to find some way to volunteer. I think it was my mom's doing. If she didn't marry my dad, she would have been a nun. So she is constantly giving, and we're passing that on to our kids. And I think that's just a great way to give back. And you gain way more than you give. So it goes full circle.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I think the psychology of success for someone um, is relying on the amount of giving back in one form or another. Because as you said in the beginning, the more give back you have to someone in the society or community, the more successful you become.
Yeah.
And I can stress enough. I remember Tony Robbins in one of his seminars saying that the most fulfillment you can get in your life is by giving back.
Yes.
And I think when you get to that level, that's definitely the definition of success for someone. I appreciate you saying that, volunteering and giving back.
Yeah. And I think that's something you can do wherever you are
Yeah.
in your career journey at any time. We were talking about this the other day when I was at Kennedy's Kids annual foundation meeting the other day. And a lot of the people on the board, we were talking about how we are just helping where we can with whatever's in front of you. So it's not even about going out and seeking, all of these things. There's so much to be giving to based on what's in front of you. And what is so unique about that helps you to develop your brand. So if you're a medical professional, many people just see you as that profession, but you can also give back as you are working, and as you're volunteering and giving back, it starts to elevate you, and it elevates your brand way above and beyond being a medical professional.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I'm wondering, if you think of all your experiences so far, if you have any nugget of advice for someone in your footsteps, or if you look back when you were young, what would you say to you?
I would say be your professional, authentic self, because you take up space. There's room for you, and there's no one else like you. And people need to hear what you have to say based on your experiences. So don't shrink, just get bigger and bigger, and continue to be a lifelong learner. Like, no matter how old you are, how much expertise you have, you can always learn from others. And you're learning from people, whether they're older or younger than you, whether they're in a higher ranking role or lower ranking role, as if they want to say, than you, in a different country, same country as you. Be that lifelong learner. And what that's done for me, I can say, is I've gained mentors along the way. I've gained these board of directors that are helping me with myself personally and with my business. And what happens is you begin to have sponsors, and those are people that are speaking highly of you in other rooms that you may not have privy to. And all of a sudden, the things that you spoke to your mentors about, or where you volunteer that you're looking to do or you're interested to do, 3 months later, 1 year later, 2 years later, doors magically open up because someone was speaking about you in another room, and they're connecting you. So these are some of the things, these are just the magical things that happen if people become confident, be their authentic self, continue to network and learn. There's so much success to be out there. There's enough pie for everyone if you just show up and take action.
Wonderfully said. What are your projects right now? What are you thinking about? What do you plan? What's your goal?
Okay, so the other day I did some deep introspection because it's December and that's that time to look at what you've done and where you want to go. I mentioned before I want to build this resilience movement. My key focuses are providing keynote presentations to large organizations, hospital systems with multiple facilities. I see that in healthcare, there's a great need for the professionals to be resilient, to overcome stress, to alleviate burnout, to kind of improve the culture of their organizations, but to do it with some joy with it, and to remember why you got into the profession in the first place. Because there's a lot of work to be had in the medical profession. So I would say that is my biggest thing, is to provide those presentations. And also my book launch, which is called The Joyful Leaders, coming out in April in time for Mental Health Awareness Month in May of 2025. So that's the big project, to get that over, get that over the finish line. And we're starting to do some pre-sales for it. And and the goal is to get this in the hands of as many medical professionals. I've even heard some medical professionals saying that this needs to be curriculum for doctors in school for themselves, so that they can learn how to be preventative when it comes to burnout and stress. So those are my two big things that I'm really focusing on, is speaking as much as possible to get the word out there, and putting the book in the hands of as many people as possible so that they can provide better care to the patients out there that need the support and help.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great goal, and I wish you the best success in achieving those goals. And I can't stress enough, from my clinical experience, talking to people, with my colleagues, all the people that I encounter every day, the burnout is a real problem in healthcare. And I think the pandemic kind of opened people's eyes a little bit more of, what really counts in this life. And a lot of people are thinking about maybe scaling back or retiring or not work that much just because of that. And I think your contribution to kind of let people know what can be prevented and how can be prevented, it's very important. And I encourage everyone to kind of look into your work. How can people get in touch with you?
So they can get in touch with me by going to my website, of course, which is Keane, Keane, insights.com. My email, you can email me. It's Nicole@KeaneInsights.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, either through Keane Insights or Nicole Van Valen. I provide a lot of information out there on LinkedIn that you can get in touch with. Just message me. I want to hear what people are doing. I want to hear how, if they found this podcast inspiring and helpful to them, and just to see how else I can be helpful. That would be great.
I totally encourage everyone to look into your work, and I think it's going to be beneficial for a lot of people. Thank you very much for being here, and wish you great success.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for having me.
That's a wrap on Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Interested in joining us? Go to stellarsuccesspodcast.com/guest to apply. Stay stellar and level up.